Hey everyone, so as you may be able to tell, my webcam decided to start working again. Hopefully that will mean better videos and um, I can edit a lot easier and yeah, so hopefully this will continue. My laptop is just like 2 or 3 years old and just, I don't know, has a mind of its own. I need to do book hauls because I haven't done book hauls since like maybe July or maybe the end of June, and I have gotten a lot more books. Probably gonna be like 3 videos. This first video is going to be books that I've received from Booksparks and arcs that I've received over the summer that I don't believe that I've mentioned on the channel. So yeah, I'm going to be sharing those today. Real quick, I just want to ask you guys, check out Lily Mead's channel. I will, of course, link it below. She is a young author to booktuber, just got a literary agent, and her videos are great. I really have enjoyed watching several of them. She talks about living with anxiety and writing with anxiety, live in poverty, find herself in a situation where her family has become homeless. I'm not a writer, but she has a series of videos where she talks about how to write diversely, and as a reader who tries to read diversely, I really appreciate watching those videos because I think that even as a reader, I can learn a lot about what to look for and how to know how to be able to tell the difference between a book that has written diversity in well and and diversity that's not written well. And that might seem obvious to some people, and in some ways it is, but I think that it's always good to make yourself aware of just the nuances and the little details that can be written well and not so well. Well and not so well. I just want to highly encourage you to check her out and give her some love because I think that she could use it. Unfortunately, not everyone in the reading and writing community wants to make themselves available to listen and learn. And so, just if you are interested in diversity in your reading life, if you're a writer who's interested in writing diversely, I just definitely encourage you to check her out. So first I'm going to talk about books that I have received, arcs that I have received over the last couple months. So this is The Stolen Marriage by Diane Chamberlain. I have read a few books by her before, and I don't recall which ones because she's got tons of books and it's been a while. But I have always really enjoyed her books. She's kind of like a Jodi Picoult or Barbara Delinsky, if you're familiar with her. Just sort of like life, family situations that could be difficult and interesting and controversial. And yeah. So this one just has a very short blurb on the back. It says, 1944, Hickory, North Carolina. Tess DeMello has just ended her engagement to the love of her life when she is forced into a strange and loveless marriage to an enigmatic man. With no way out and growing racial tensions in a small rural town, can Tess untangle her husband's mysterious past before her life is put in any more danger? And I requested this one for two reasons. Number one, because of Diane Chamberlain, and I've enjoyed her books in the past. And number two, because I lived not so far from Hickory, North Carolina for a few years, and anytime I see a book that takes place in an area that I live or have lived, I always find that interesting. So I'm looking forward to checking this out, seeing what I think. This comes out in October of this year, so hopefully I will get to it in the next month. Next is a thriller, The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I am not familiar with either of these authors. This comes out January 9th, 2018, so I have a few months to get this done. All it says on the back is, when you read this book, you will make assumptions. You will assume you are reading about a jealous wife. You will assume she is obsessed with her replacement, a woman who is about to enter a new marriage with the man she loves. You will assume you know the anatomy of the relationships. Assume nothing. Read between the lies. And that sounds really, really intriguing. I like thrillers or psychological suspense type books where I don't know what's going on. I like guessing, but I like not knowing. I like having no clue. So this sounds like something that's going to keep me guessing. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, this is a nonfiction book that I do not recall requesting. The Exact Nature of Our Wrongs by Janet. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's not nonfiction. There's something about this book that makes me feel like it's nonfiction, but it's not. It's a novel. The Exact Nature of Our Wrongs, a novel by Janet Peary. It's a National Book Award finalist for. She was a National Book Award finalist for The River Beyond the World, which I've never heard of. It says, in the last days of a long marriage, Hattie Campbell gathers her adult children for the birthday of their ailing father, the irascible, is that how you say that? Abel. She wants just one family dinner without incident. But when Billy, the youngest, nods off in his devil's food cake, the family must take up the unfinished business of his sobriety. So begins the story of one family at its best and worst, with old wounds and new fractures and feuds, and yet an unbreakable bond. This sounds very reminiscent of another arc that I got, like, in spring that I need to read, called Tell Me How This Ends Well by David Samuel Levinson. It was out in September. And finally, this is nonfiction, and this is definitely what I'm looking forward to reading, An American Family, a Memoir of Hope and Sacrifice by, is it Kazir Khan? This comes out October 24th, 2017, and it does not have a blurb. Let's see if there's anything in the letter I can, this inspiring memoir by the Gold Star parent and captivating DNC speaker is the story of one family's pursuit of the American dream, and why, especially in these tumultuous times, we must not be afraid to step forward for what we believe in when it matters most. An intensely personal story about the nature of true patriotism and what it's like to risk everything you know for the promise of a 226-year-old piece of parchment. As Kazir Khan traces his remarkable journey from humble beginnings on a poultry farm in Pakistan to obtaining a degree from Harvard Law School and raising a family in America, he shows what it means to leave the limitations of one's country behind for the best values and promises of another. I'm really curious about this story. I did watch his speech at the DNC. It was very moving. If you have not seen that, you should definitely look it up on YouTube. But yes, so I'm looking forward to reading that. Now, these are the books that I received from Booksparks this summer as part of the Summer Reading Challenge. I have done hauls or unboxings of some of those boxes that I received from them earlier in the summer, but then it just started piling up, and it was just a crazy amount of books, and so this is about 10 more books that I received from them over the last couple months. Alright, So we've got The Captain's Daughter by Meg Mitchell Moore. I've never heard of this author or anything before receiving this. This is an emotionally gripping novel about a woman who returns to her hometown in coastal Maine and finds herself pondering the age-old question of what could have been. Growing up in the lobstering village of Little Harbor, Maine, Eliza Barnes spent countless hours making fun of the summer people, who would parade into town each year to gorge on lobster rolls and sail their yachts before hightailing it back to Boston or New York at the end of the season. Eliza's father, a plain-spoken, hard-working lobsterman who raised Eliza on his own after her mother passed away, often mused, "If you can't stand the winters, you don't deserve the summers." Even though Eliza could haul a trap and row a skiff with the best of them, she always itched to leave behind the life she was born into. Now she's become a summer person herself, with an Ivy League degree and a taste for good coffee, and even better champagne. She has two beautiful daughters who drive her crazy only half the time, and she's mostly happily married to her college boyfriend, whose wealthy high society mother subsidizes their lifestyle while he tries to make it as an architect. Eliza admits she has it pretty good, but for some reason her cushy front row seat to country club gossip just isn't cutting it anymore. When her father injures himself in a boating accident, Eliza pushes the pause button on her own life to come to his aid, but when she arrives in Maine, she discovers her father's situation is more dire than he let on. Eliza's homecoming is further complicated by the re-emergence of his first love, and the repercussions of their shared secret. Then Eliza meets Mary Brown, a 17-year-old local who is at her own crossroads, and Eliza can't help but wonder what her life would have been if she'd stayed. Filled with humor and insight, cocktails and sunsets, and more than a little heartbreak, The Captain's Daughter is a compassionate novel about the life-changing choices we make and the consequences we face in their aftermath. This was a really cool box to receive. They did a box for Shark Week, and the book was The Shark Club by Ann Kidd Taylor, and then there was this little corner bookmark, and there was Shark Fin Lollipop, and I can't even remember everything. There was just tons of fun shark stuff. It says, on a summer day on the Gulf of Mexico in 1988, two extraordinary things happened to 12-year-old Maeve Donnelly. First, she is kissed by Daniel, the boy of her dreams. Then she is attacked by a black-tipped shark. 18 years later, Maeve is a world-traveling marine biologist studying and swimming with the very animals that once threatened her life. Known among her peers as the Shark Whisperer, Maeve is fearless in the water. On land, however, Maeve is dogged by unresolved wounds and indecisive about the path her life will take. After a particularly inspiring assignment abroad, Maeve returns to the small island of Florida's coast where she grew up and her childhood home, the legendary, charming, and eccentric Hotel of the Muses, where she was raised by her grandmother. There she is greeted by troubling news. An illegal shark finning operation has moved into town and hundreds of sharks are dying. As Maeve fights to protect the fate of the animals so dear to her heart, she finds that her twin brother might be about to make it big as a novelist, using her love life as his jumping-off point. Will she confront her feelings about her brother's betrayal and forgive her childhood sweetheart Daniel the missteps of their youth? Or will she dive headlong back into her work and open her heart to Nicholas, her colleague who shares her passion for the ocean? This one is beautiful and sounds amazing. The Goddesses by Swan Huntley. When Nancy and her family arrive in Kona, Hawaii, they are desperate for a fresh start. Nancy's husband has cheated on her. They sleep in separate bedrooms, and their twin sons have been acting out by setting off illegal fireworks. But Hawaii is paradise. They plant an orange tree in the yard, they share a bed once again, and Nancy resolves to make a happy life for herself. She starts taking a yoga class, and there she meets Anna, the charismatic teacher. Anna has a warm smile and a hard-won wisdom that resonates deeply with Nancy. Soon they are spending all their time together, sharing dinners, relaxing in Anna's hot tub, driving around Kona in the cute little car Anna helped Nancy buy. As Nancy grows closer and closer to Anna, skipping family dinners and leaving the twins to their own devices, she feels a happiness and mutual understanding unlike anything she's ever experienced, and she knows that she will do anything Anna asks of her. So that also just sounds amazing. This is a book of short stories. It's called Sour Heart by Jenny Zhang. A fresh new voice emerges with the arrival of Sour Heart, establishing Jenny Zhang as a frank and subversive interpreter of the immigrant experience in America. In this debut collection, she conjures the disturbing and often hilarious experience of adolescence through the eyes of Chinese American girls growing up in New York City. Her stories cut across generations and continents, moving from the fraught halls of a public school in Flushing, Queens, to the tumultuous streets of Shanghai, China, during the Cultural Revolution of the 1960s. In the absence of grown-ups, latchkey kids experiment on each other until one day the experiments turn violent. An overbearing mother abandons her artistic aspirations to come to America, but relives her glory days through karaoke, and a shy loner struggles to master English so she can speak to God. It just sounds really interesting, and I see it says something about dumpster diving for food and scamming Atlantic City casino buses to make a buck. That sounds interesting because I grew up outside of Atlantic City, so I look forward to reading that story. Sunshine by Laura Dave. I like the cover because I love orange and yellow, but again, other than that, I know nothing. Living the Dream. She's a culinary star with millions of fans, a line of #1 best-selling cookbooks, and a devoted husband happy to support her every endeavor. And then she gets hacked. When Sunshine's secrets are revealed, her fall from grace is catastrophic. She loses the husband, her show, the fans, and her apartment. She's forced to return to the childhood home and the estranged sister she's tried hard to forget. But what Sunshine does amid the ashes of her own destruction may well save her life. And it's really short. I think this will make a good readathon book. 242 pages. If you've heard of any of these books, if you've read any of these books, let me know. These two were sent to me because it was an option. You could have them sent to you, and I wanted them because I've been interested in both of these books. As they were sent as like hey, these books are coming out in paperback now. So I have Truly Madly Guilty by Leanne Moriarty, which, as you may recall, I read, oh goodness, what was that? Big Little Lies, I think in like May, and I loved it. So I'm really looking forward to reading more by her. And then I was also sent The Guinevere's by Sarah Domay. It's about four girls who have nothing. To four girls who have nothing, their friendship is everything. The girls are all named Guinevere, and that coincidence first brings them together. They come to the Sisters of the Supreme Adoration Convent by different paths, each with their own complicated, heartbreaking story that she safeguards. The nuns who raise them teach the Guineveres that faith is about waiting for the mail, for a weekly wash day, for a miracle, or for the day they turn 18 and are allowed to leave the convent. But the Guineveres grow tired of waiting, and so when four comatose soldiers from the war looming outside arrive at the convent, the girls realize that these men may hold their ticket out. And yeah, I've just heard a lot about it. It sounds really neat, interesting, and I like. For some reason, I guess I'm just into names. They're all named Guinevere, and they all go by a different nickname. I can't remember. I think there's Gwen, Winnie, Vera. I don't remember, but I just think that's cool. I don't know why. And I like the cover and red hair because my mom's a redhead and my husband's a redhead and one of my daughters is a redhead. And yeah, I know. So this is an ARC that I received through Booksparks, and it was actually one that I thought I was going to be receiving in June, and it was one of my most anticipated books to receive from Booksparks. The Leavers by Lisa Coe, and it has to do with a woman, an undocumented Chinese immigrant, and she does not come home one day, and her 11-year-old son is left behind, and I believe ends up being adopted, and he never knows what happened to his mother, if she just left him of her own choice or what, and I believe it's told from both the perspective of Daniel, which is his American name that he was given after he was adopted, and his mother, Polly, which I'm guessing is also an Americanized name. But anyway, so yeah, it sounds really interesting and heartbreaking, and these are just like the kinds of stories that you don't necessarily think about when thinking about immigration and the results of immigration laws. So yeah, so I'm hoping I'll get to that semi soon, but that's what I say about all the books. And the final two books that I received from Booksparks for the Summer Reading Challenge are both snow-related, which is kind of fun. They're Stealing Snow by Danielle Page, who is the author of the Dorothy Must Die series, which I have not read, and I don't own, but I've heard a lot about. So this is, I believe, a Snow White retelling. 17-year-old Snow has spent her life locked in Whitaker Psychiatric, but she isn't crazy, and that's not the worst of it. The very first kiss proves anything but innocent when Bale, her only love, turns violent. Despite Snow knowing that Bale would never truly hurt her, he is taken away, dashing her last hope for any sort of future in the mental ward she calls home. With nowhere else to turn, Snow finds herself drawn to a strange new orderly, who whispers secrets in the night about a mysterious past and a kingdom that's hers for the taking. If only she can find her way past the iron gates to the tree that has been haunting her dreams. Beyond the tree lies Algid, a land far away from the real world, frozen by a ruthless king. And there too await the river witch, a village boy named Kai, the charming thief Jagger, and a prophecy that Snow will save them all. And finally, I have Girl in Snow by Danya Kukafka. When a beloved high schooler named Lucinda Hayes is found murdered, no one in her sleepy Colorado suburb is untouched. Not the boy who loved her too much, not the girl who wanted her perfect life, not the officer assigned to investigate her murder. In the aftermath of the tragedy, these three indelible characters, Cameron, Jade, and Russ, must each confront their darkest secrets in an effort to find solace, the truth, or both. In crystalline prose, Danya Kafka offers a brilliant exploration of identity and of the razor-sharp line between love and obsession, between watching and seeing, between truth and memory. So I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, if you've read any of these books, if you're looking forward to any of these books, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. I appreciate your likes and subscribes and share it on Twitter or whatever. I appreciate all of it, and thank you for watching, as always. Have a great day.